All right, here we go.
Can you tell me go?
We're going.
Oh, okay. We're on air. Well, see what always happens when we do this, and it's a little different because I can't see anything other than the screen, other than the screen. But thank you so much for being here on the live. I never want to miss a Tuesday, ever, ever, because it's so important to me. And fortunately, we have Kenneth Mraz, who is one of our strategy specialists. You guys know him. He's been on air, and so he's helping make this happen. And here I am coming from the Gold Coast in Australia. I love Australia. Kenneth, thank you so much for helping with this today.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure, Lynette. I'm behind the desk of champions here, so I'm trying to make sure I'm filling the seat properly for you.
Well, I'm very happy that it's you. You do a great job. So let's just dive into the questions because there's lots that's been happening, but I've been a little out of touch.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, so first one that I have here it's from one of my clients, Lauren Carlstrom, on the behalf of Dan and Mary up in Minnesota. And and they say in a scenario when the cash registers are turned off, how would someone realistically use gold and silver to pay for goods and services?
Well, if all of the other cash registers are turned off and we're in a hyperinflationary stage, then we can understand what is most likely to happen by looking at other countries like Venezuela, where in particularly the outskirts. But and I will be doing a piece on this, and we've done it before, on how you actually use it. But what you will find is you will go into the store and things will be priced in terms of grams of gold, grams of silver, and then probably whatever the local currency is. Because let me tell you, once we're in hyperinflation, nobody really wants the currency anyway, but they still need goods and services. You still need food. You still need all of those things. So everything will be priced more than likely in all of those choices. And then if you've got gold and silver, you're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And hoochie cooing.
And I would say that's really the beauty of the strategy is what if we're right? What if we're wrong? If the registers are up, great. If the registers are down, you're covered either way.
Exactly. Very good point. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Then we have another one here. It says from Resistance Chicks. It says PG here. Why would Dent say in the open, gold is a safe haven, but it went into a bubble? Treasuries for a year or more are the only safe haven. Or cash. Gold is dangerous. Bitcoin is very dangerous.
Well, this really does address my personal bugaboo, which is people referring to the spot gold contract as gold or the spot silver contract as silver. Take your pick, because those are two completely different things. And as you know, we've been talking about how speculative those contracts are, being so far away from that 200-day moving average. But I can guarantee you this, and I can't give you tons of guarantees, but I can give you this. The 33 direct users on a global basis of gold and the 36 direct users on a global basis of silver did not evaporate. So what you're looking at is purely a contract. And Harry Dent, which I'd love to sit down and have a direct conversation with him. If anybody knows him, let's invite him on the channel. He is falling into what most people fall into. Because when you're listening to the talking heads, they don't say spot gold, spot silver contracts. They say gold and silver. And so what he's referring to, and I know this is what he's referring to, and what the talking heads are referring to are the spot contracts. And yep, they're very volatile because they went into a speculative rise. I mean, silver 70% away from a 200-day moving average when a lot is 10%. Give me a break. So that's what he's really referring to. The real users of physical gold and silver did not evaporate. So that's the first part of that. And that's what the bubble is that he's referring to, the contracts, not gold. And the treasuries for a year or more are the only safe haven. Why? Because the government can print the money to repay those treasuries. That's why. But what happens to the purchasing power of the currencies when they do that? That's what happens. It continues to go down. And we already officially have 3 cents left. This is it. So when we go into this hyperinflationary piece, which I think is going to be obvious by the end of this year, when we go into that next piece, yeah, debt, because what are treasuries? Treasuries are debt. That's what they are. Now, Kenneth, you want to add more to that?
Well, I mean, I can't agree with you more. People tend to misunderstand, and you put it best. Just because something is overbought doesn't mean it's overvalued. The fundamental value of these metals, we're so far away from what they truly are worth intrinsically that to say it went into a bubble, you're right. It's just being caught up in the Wall Street jargon. It's a contract price. It's I think you and I could agree, an instrument for Wall Street. It's not to serve you and me for price discovery.
Exactly. And remember too, that is shifting, and that started over a year ago now. So where the paper contracts dictate the price discovery to the physical metals themselves and a true supply and demand market. So treasures are for a year or more are the only safe haven. Really, anybody know Harry? Let's have that conversation, because I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He's talking about a short-term trade. And guess what? We may live our lives on a day-to-day basis, but if you do not look to the future and the truth and understand how much these are really worth in terms of these fiat money, wherever you are in the world, that is simply going away. So it is not gold that's dangerous. Bitcoin is very dangerous, because that is a Trojan horse, and that's designed to get you corralled into the surveillance economy. And we don't really want to do that. So we want to make sure that we have a component of redeemable gold, whatever that new monetary system is going to be. We have to demand it. They will not just do it if we don't demand it. That's why I'm here in Australia, quite honestly, is to build that global movement, that global citizens for sound money, so that if we can get 3% of the global population to convert their garbage fiat into real, tangible, fundamental gold and silver physical form, we can demand that. So, yeah.
I mean, Lynette, I can say without a doubt, you are the one person who would go out of the frying pan into the fire to do what needs to be done for sound money. So you're out there in Australia, and I know you're going to do great things. So
thank you. Thank you. We have to, and you do this too, right? Everybody at Zang International, we have to give you a voice, and we have to help you make a stand, because people always feel like they're alone and I'm just one person and what can I do? And it's true. You are one person against a really well-oiled, and hey, they control how much fiat comes in. So entities that control the money supply. And sometimes I feel very much like David and Goliath, but you're right. But it's not just me. It's you too, Kenneth, and it's not just you and me. It is everybody at Zang International is really fighting for our future. You have a little one. How old is your son?
3.
3? This is who we're fighting for.
Yeah.
This is who we're fighting. And we have to. He can't fight for himself. We have to do it.
Very true. So we have Nathan Patel 1786 said, do you lawyers you know of, maybe do you have lawyers you know of that we can work with on your team if we wanted to open a dynasty trust to own gold?
Yes. And actually, one of the people that, and it kind of depends, right? But we've certainly had Javier on, and that is absolutely his focus. And we have other attorneys as well. So kind of depends on where you are. You want to make sure that whoever you're working with understands the laws and what you're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I mean, we're not lawyers. We can't tell you how to do that, but certainly we vet people and make sure that they are on the up and up.
Yeah. I think that is maybe one of those more understated importances of protection too, as a layer of protection for your wealth and your metals. But yeah, it's awesome to know that we provide a resource for people for that.
Mm-hmm. We do our best.
And then we have Alex DiPietro 1593. Hi, Lynette. Love all you do to assist humanity. Can people in Australia utilize the services of your company? Thank you. And then 2 heart emojis.
Thank you so much. And the answer is yes. And we've got things set up. So if you give us a call, then we will help you. Absolutely. We can set up your strategy and you can move forward. Yes.
Yep. I can speak from experience with multiple international clients. We can help anybody and everybody. So we really are, full concierge, full service company.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Jeff England. He says, is there a fuel shortage and how will that affect mining?
Yes, indeed. There is a fuel shortage and there is a huge problem on energy. Even if the war stopped today, even if the Strait of Hormuz were open today, we now have a full-blown energy crisis. And for those of you that were around in the 70s, and the 60s, you might recall that. So the issues around energy are something that also seems to happen every time we are transitioning from one monetary system into the next monetary system. And how will that affect mining? Well, it means that the cost, the all-in cost to mine is going up because mines take a lot of energy, just like, even the cryptocurrencies, right? But the cost to do it will be going up. And let me tell you, are the miners going to be selling their gold for less than their cost to mine the gold? No, they're not going to. So yeah, we're that's why I said by the end of this year, I think that the maybe not the hyper because officially hyperinflation is 50% inflation. And I don't know that we would see that by the end of the year, but there's certainly a lot higher and faster inflation that's coming in. And then what that does to consumer confidence, which we can see is dipping pretty significantly. And in fact, when I was watching the news here last night, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but they said that the consumer confidence here in Australia has fallen to the lowest level ever. And if that is indeed the case, right, I have to check. I don't hold me to that because I haven't verified that was an accurate statement yet. But that could be the tipping point that then creates a domino effect on a global basis.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the last leg that's keeping the chair up, right? The consumer confidence game. Let me ask you about with the cost of energy. What about, for example, in Arizona, all the data centers that they're selling all these massive amounts of land to put up, and how much water and energy do those consume?
Yeah, exactly. More than, and because they have such strong lobbying, the laws that are being put in place, who's going to come out the winner? And on that, it's going to be the data centers. It's not going to be the individuals. and this is happening around the world, but since you brought up Arizona, there are areas and pockets where data centers have already gone in, and the locals that live there have to buy bottled water because there's no water available for them.
Wow.
So, and we've already seen that the prices of energy just from the AI and all of those data centers has pushed everybody's bills up. So that's just going to get worse and worse. And this is why we talk about the mantra. You need to create surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, arguably the most important part, and shelter. These are all the things that we need to sustain a reasonable standard of living. And even though, I mean, solar panels, the solar was the first thing I did when I bought my house in Central Phoenix. It never worked, so I'm not really covered there, to be honest with you. I'm not. But the bug out location is all off grid. And I love that. I never have to worry about whether or not I'm going to have power up there. So we need to create that surety, because this isn't going to get better. It's just going to get worse. And for those of you that are out there watching this that feel like you have all the time in the world, or you procrastinate, stop procrastinating, because we only have as much time as we have. And I can tell you, I sleep well at night because I know that I've covered my bases. And I want you to be able to sleep well at night too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Maccabees that says this year fiat printing will be the last.
Probably not the last, but I think because then they're going to print, and I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Do you mean that they're going to do away with cash? Because that's certainly been a goal, since cash, at least at this point, is debt that does not charge or pay interest. And if they can get us digital, well, now we're in a full surveillance economy, and they can dictate everything we do if we are not independent. That's why that's so important. People think that it's just about gold and silver. Well, you got to have a sound money foundation that governments cannot inflate away. And even when you're looking at these volatile markets, like I said earlier, did those 33 direct users of physical gold or the 33 direct users of physical silver evaporate? No, they did not evaporate. So that's why gold and silver, real gold and silver, not the contracts, that's just garbage. And boy, I just had this conversation this morning, actually, where if everybody started to, when they hear somebody say gold, put spot contract after it, so that you can understand that we aren't really talking about gold and silver. We're talking about a product, a Wall Street product. I think that would really be helpful. And we would start to educate more and more people.
Very true. Silver Solutions LLC says we need the shift to physical to happen faster.
I'm old enough to know all in due time, just not necessarily mine. And maybe we really don't, because I can tell you that I know a lot of people that have not fully prepared yet. And so, honestly, this is very helpful, because once that shift fully where the physical is pricing, and I can't wait for it. I've been waiting for this for a very long time. But it's going to happen as it's supposed to unfold. It's amazing how that always works, even though it's hard to see when we're walking through the woods. And it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Just get yourself in position so that not only can you help yourself and your family, but you can help the world. This is why we're here. We're not here to be, lone wolves, and everything is all about me. And as long as I'm okay, everybody else can go away. No, that's not. We need to come together in community. This is really why community I've come to understand, is so flipping vital. We have been blocked from having that communication. And if you don't have that communication, whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. You need to learn how to have civil discourse and respect each other, because that's when we get this beautiful, rich tapestry and we start to see things that we didn't see. And Kenneth, a lot of my work is about helping people look at things just a teeny weeny bit differently. Because as soon as you do that, you had that experience, right? I had that experience. When you look at things just a teeny bit differently, all of a sudden it's like this whole world opens up.
Yeah, no, truly, the perspective change is what it's like. You start to see almost like what was the movie where he puts the glasses on and he could see the world for how it really was.
I do believe you have one of those over.
Yeah.
You, because I don't have any of my props, right?
Yeah, they live. Is that what it is?
Yes, They Live. If you guys have not seen that movie, it's from the 80s. And I'll tell you, when I sat down and watched it, boy, is it campy, and you actually even have glasses there that block the light and then you take them off. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It could also be something like a Journey to the Center of the Earth, or one of those where you're in this really dark cave and it's all scary. And then all of a sudden you walk out and, there's this beautiful new world, right? We can make it a beautiful new world. We can make this place a better place for our children and our great grandchildren and all those generations to come. And we have an obligation, I believe strongly that we have an obligation to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have Darrell Leffenges says, what if you're just starting out, only have a couple ounces of gold, and want to prepare as best as possible? Do you buy more gold, buy food? What do you do?
Well, first of all, make sure you have a secure community, right? That's the first thing that really I'm going to encourage you to do. And if you don't know how to do that, a great place to start is at a farmer's market, talking to those people that are growing your food. Give them a day's labor. You're going to learn some skills, because skills are very barterable, and you're going to create and start to build that community. So, honest to goodness, get that done. But I would also then say, call us, because there's gold and then there's gold, and there's silver and then there's silver. And it really does depend on what it is you're trying to accomplish that would drive you to what it is that you need to do. Does that make sense? And Kenneth, maybe you can even comment more on that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. Sometimes I think people think you need to have the whole fortress built in a single day, but it's just brick by brick,
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
And,
right? And you have to keep in mind, I've been working on this diligently with the gold and the silver since 2002, and with the rest of the prepping stuff since 2008, because there was never any doubt in my mind once that happened that the system that we knew, the system was dead. And it's not a coincidence that Bitcoin came out in January of 2009 and quantitative easing came out in March of 2009. And, they know how to make this transition. And I also think it's really interesting that when they were transitioning us off the gold standard, it took 20 years of working with physical gold, I don't have any props with me today, but the $20 gold piece, the ounce of gold, the $20 gold certificate, and the $20 corporate debt Federal Reserve note. And they were all functioning at the same time with the same stated purchasing power value of $20. So people got used to that. And when they took the gold away completely, they thought, well, nothing had changed. They're doing the same thing. This is wash, rinse, and repeat. Wash, rinse, and repeat. My favorite piece from the IMF, if any of you guys, you have access to it just like I do, is breaking below the lower zero bound. Go to the end of that report, and you're going to find an 18-step of how to transition from one system into the next system. They even say it. We know how to do this. Yeah, they do. So you have to know that they know, and you need to protect not just yourself, but if we can get 3% to come together and convert fiat and into physical, and we demand it, we can overwhelm them. It was a 3% that created the revolution or started the Revolutionary War. And this is a revolution. Let's get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to the point that you had made as well, with when we talk about the way that they know how to do these transitions, one of the greatest things that I've done, because you brought it up, is just look at the white paper for the NSA, how to make a mint, look at the white paper for Bitcoin, and I'm like, it's the same paper. They just put a little new polish of coat on it, a coat of paint on it, and tried to make it different. But this is cyclical. That's why the strategy, the sound money strategy with Zang International, is based on what's happened every single time in the past. And again, building that strategy, it could be a break at a time. I always tell my clients, if they book a strategy session and it's our first session and they tell me that they've already got gold and silver, I say, you know what? You're ahead of 99% of people. So congratulations to you for that. Right now, let's take it to that next step.
Thank you. That's really good. So how would you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, focusing on first your food, where it comes from. That's the most sustainable thing that you're going to need. Making sure you have, I mean, the whole mantra really does circle back to the important basics, the essentials of living day to day. But when we talk about how do you approach getting into the metals, I think is the big step for a lot of people. Maybe they think it's overwhelming. There's too much to consider. First and foremost, yeah, giving us a call, because every one of the strategy specialists has been mentored under you. So we all understand this. It's the same thing. You're not going to get a different story from any person on how to strategize and take it by whatever means you have, whether it's a couple of pieces of constitutional silver at a time or something else. So that's what I'm saying.
So if somebody calls in like that and says, okay, this is where I'm at, I have a little bit of this, I have, a little bit of that, but I'm not really sure what I need, then, and I definitely do not want to put any words in your mouth, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're an independent thinker and a great thinker, but are you going to start with the goals? Because otherwise you don't know what they need, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need to know what are your goals. That's why we look at where you are. We meet you where you are to get you to where you want to be. That's all about figuring out your goals first. And from there, everything else falls simply into place. And you have an actionable plan in your hands that you can look at and say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to reach each little milestone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Yes. Thank you. So we have the Tiger Stacker. He says, Lynette, since you were in Australia, will you bring me back a kangaroo? I always wanted a roo for a pet. Can you bring that on?
Just be careful of what you ask. I might just do that. I don't know how he would do that, but they're trying to get rid of him here, because for here they're sort of like rats. But that was one of the things. Emerald Fox, you guys know Emerald. She's been on camera and she's the vice president of ops, and she's here with us. And we made sure when we landed, we were all exhausted, but we went to this wonderful preserve in Brisbane, which we went to the last time we were here as well, so that she could feed the kangaroos. They're pretty well fed, let me tell you. They weren't that hungry, but they're awful cute, So, okay, be careful what you ask for, Tiger.
Right. He sends us hopium. You send him a kangaroo.
There you go.
All right. So we have Grace.
Write that down. Don't let me forget.
Okay, I won't. We have a Gray Slacker says, been buying the dip a bit here, AU and AG, stacking away, converting fiat into real money for the future.
Totally. It's smart because it's a bargain. Even at the higher prices, it's a bargain. So good job. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Optimistic Beekeeper says, hi, Kenneth and Lynette. What do you think the 3 most important things we can all do to promote sound money? Many thanks.
Well, you know, the dime cards that we have, and if you're a client, you get the first one for free and the rest of them at our cost. And by sharing those and encouraging people to follow the QR code on the back. And also we have some very short little snippets so you can get somebody to watch for 5 minutes or less, and you start gently their education. And also I would say, rather than referring to the spot contracts as gold and silver, you start referring to them as the spot contracts so that people can start to see that it's different. Because if we just talk about the physical as well as the paper and treat it like it's the same thing, then how in the world can we expect anybody else that's not familiar with this to get it? So I think that's a great place to start. It's going to be hard to get somebody to sit for an hour or 15 minutes, but you can usually get somebody, you know, to sit for 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, I agree. I think also just all the wealth of information that you've put out on the channel as well, you know, sharing that as they maybe start to get a little bit more acclimated to what sound money is. And all the future work we're going to continue to do at Zang International. That's part of community. I think if you can share the work, that just builds the community even more. But the dime cards are, yes, they're super useful because it shows you right there in plain sight. Look what they did to our money, you know?
Yep. And you just need to make sure that they look on that rim. And I'll throw something out here as well. Maybe, and Jacqueline's sitting here, so she's going to know about it pretty quick. But if you have a small group of family or friends that you're trying to help them understand this and they're willing to sit, I mean, I think that, like Kenneth, wouldn't you be willing to do a Zoom meeting with them so that if they have questions, they can ask you directly?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love group Zoom meetings. The more the merrier, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just understand that we are here to support your efforts because it really benefits everybody and the whole world. So this is a great thing. So the 3 most important things that we can do. Did we say 3? I don't know. There's lots,
I know.
but we're here to be of service.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Rhonda Schelling Comedy said, is the dropping gold price due to Gulf states selling while there's a war?
No, it's really, again, I'm going back to the spot gold contracts, and they were bid up as a speculative piece. So part of it is the speculation coming out of it. Part of it is the stocks are dropping as well. And since everything in Wall Street is pretty much done with leverage and debt, when that happens, then they get what's called margin calls, which means they have to come up with more money. And they may not want to sell their gold or silver contracts, but they may not have a choice. So that would put downward pressure on it. But to your earlier point, Kenneth, which was a fabulous point, the overbought, so running all the way up to 5,500 or whatever, did not mean that it was overvalued. It meant the contract is, because that's nothing. That's air. They can create as much gold and silver as they want to, and they do with those contracts. So it's a combination of things, but it is just the overbought part of it is the overbought position being burned out, which is a good thing, and also the margin calls. So, and maybe people are listening to Harry. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think, you know, you've also demonstrated a great point when you have that that price drop, they can only suppress that artificial drop in the price so long until the spring, boom, let's go. So,
Mhm.
you know,
I got a new spring that actually works. It's in the drawer next to you.
is it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it
See it?
this?
Yeah, that one.
That
There you go. There you go.
that's what it does. In a way, that's what the contract price will do. All right, we have John Doe IS 5 ounce. Is 5 ounce. Miss Zhang, how many ounces of gold and silver do you think everyone should strive to have? Please give a number instead of a generic or solicitor's statement. Thank you.
Well, I will tell you, Richard Russell, who I used to read, he's no longer on the planet, but he stated, and I would agree with this, that if you have 1,000 ounces of gold, you are always wealthy. So I'll give you that one. I definitely agree.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Then we have, okay, I'm going to try and say DHDJ FHS JCJZ 4914. I think I should get a gold star for that.
Yeah, you one.
How do I know that you're the right company to buy gold and silver from?
Oh, wow. Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. Number one, we are the only gold and silver company that have me, and I'm the only one that I know. I'm sure there are others out there, but I just have never met them that have actually been studying currencies and currency life cycles since 1987. That's part of it. The other part is because of those studies, I do understand what it looks like in a life cycle because everything has a life cycle. So part of what we try and do is help you start to recognize those patterns. Just like my granddaughter is going to be 12 next year, I'm going to be, next year. She just recently had a birthday. I'm going to be 72 this year. You're not going to look at her and go, oh, I bet you she's going to be 72. You're not going to look at me and go, oh, I bet you're going to be 12. Well, the reason is because you know what an aging human looks like. So what we try and do is help you understand what an aging fiat money system looks like, because then there are these repeatable patterns. So the strategy that we employ is built in layers, right? So you've got your short-term emergency, you've got your intermediate term protection, and you've got your long-term dynastic wealth growth. So we actually do have a strategy, and we have an exit strategy. So yeah, and just test everybody. Test. Don't take anybody's word for anything, even ours. Don't take our word for it. Hold our toes to the fire. You guys do that to me all the time.
Yeah.
I want you to. You should do it. You should absolutely do it. So this is how you know we're the right company.
Yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely. Wherever you go, whoever you want to talk to, because you can buy gold and silver anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them, so what's the exit strategy? And see what answer you get.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of companies are saying that they have a strategy. That doesn't mean anything. Anybody can blah, 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 say anything you want. We prove it. We put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, exactly. So then low blood pressure says Zang International. I thought it was Zang Enterprises.
It was. And Jacqueline is here, but we are really an international company. So we thought that it made a whole lot of sense to change that, because we are trying to change the whole world and make it a better place for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
But I think, can't they, whichever one they put in, it'll take it to us anyway. Yes. So right now, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's a different name, but same goal. So.
Mm-hmm. And still has Zang in there. I'm here.
Right. All right. So then we have BAPN-F9B. Is the value of gold falling like the stock price, or it has nothing to do with each other, which you kind of answered actually already.
Well, that's okay because, let's try and answer it a little bit differently because everybody learns a little differently. And, I will take it back to it is the spot contract of which they can create as much gold and silver as they want to. The market reads it, though it is not real. So the spot gold contract falling along with the stocks is pretty normal because if it's either risk on or risk off, right? So it's not the value of gold falling at all because the only way an imploding stock market is deflationary, right? So how do you fight deflation? There's only one way, makes it easy, and that's with inflation. And there's only one way to fight inflation, and that's with deflation. And so what you've got going on right now, it's like a bridge that's in a hurricane. And have you seen those videos where this is a really strong bridge? You're used to just driving right along it and thinking nothing of it. And here you are, it's being whipsawed back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it finally breaks down. So definitely understand, please, that this is not the value of gold falling. They will have to print more money to try and keep things propped up until they're ready for the big enough crisis. And there will be a point where they are ready. Is that now? Maybe. I mean, this could be the point at which we get that big enough crisis to scare the crap out of everybody and justify cramming the CBDCs or even the stable coins or whatever, the cryptocurrencies, the surveillance economy down our throats, whatever that's going to look like. We have to understand that it's just a lie. It's a mirage. It's a construct to keep you stuck and to transfer your wealth and rob you of the rest of your freedom. And truthfully, that's what gold and silver do, and the rest of the mantra. If you have surety in all of those areas, food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter, if you have that all in place and they tell you to jump, you could say, nope. But if you don't, if everything you have is fully in the system and they tell you to jump, well, you're going to have to, or you're going to starve to death. So we have to, please, that is what I fight for and why I'm so repetitive, because it takes the normal person at least 7 times hearing the same thing, and why I don't mind the questions, even if they're the same, and I try and answer them a little bit differently because everybody learns differently. And it takes at least 7 times of hearing it, tasting it, smelling it, seeing it, this angle, that angle, that angle. And then, oh, okay, now it starts to make sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to your
So, yeah.
point, it's, like you said, there has to be the crisis that becomes big enough to justify the change. And if I remember correctly, what happened after World War I and what happened after World War II. And so, yeah, no, I agree. It's not the value of gold, right? It's the spot contract. It's the Wall Street instrument just doing what it does, with
just
all
like the stock market.
Mhm.
Right? With the stock market is severely overvalued. But even more than that, what we don't know and we can't see are all of the off balance sheet debt and all of the leverage that's in the system. So they talk about this little piece and hype things up, where over here, they're in deep doo-doo. I mean, you think about the banking system, and this is true for the central banks, is true for the commercial banks, right? This is interest rates. This is the market value of the debt. And for 15 years, they kept interest rates at 0 or negative or super duper low. So all of that debt, whether it's a bond or a mortgage or a car loan or a student loan or a credit card loan, any of that, all of that debt that was accumulated during that period of time. And then in 22, they broke that 40-year trend cycle. And so with the interest rates raised, I recently did a piece on the FDIC, and you can look at their diff balance and how still underwater These banks are. If they are forced to liquidate that debt, if there is a run, that's what they're fighting so hard to prevent. Because if there is a run on the bank, all of this garbage becomes apparent. And then you start to understand the truth. They don't want you to know the truth. How many times can you be lied to when you do not know the truth?
Yeah, absolutely. We have SQ7944, and it says people are willing to pay large premiums to insurers that they might never see again when filing a claim, for example. But AU and AG investing is intimidating. No judgment, just saying.
Agree 100%. This is your wealth insurance more than wealth insurance. This is your freedom insurance, which is way more important than, that is wealth, right? And every single part of the mantra is a form of wealth. If you possess it, you're a very wealthy person. If you don't, then you are subject to not great things.
Right.
I'll say.
And also to that point, when you pay your monthly premium on your different insurances, you'll never see that again. They don't give it back to you if you decide, to cancel your policy. So, but you're retaining that intrinsic value in the metals. So it's like it's better than an insurance policy almost.
Well, that's a really good point. And, I'd even say that the insurance company's job is to not pay out. That is really what they're about. Whereas when you've got physical gold and silver, their job is their most important job. They do lots of things, but their most important function is to hold value over time so that you're always fairly paid for your labor. So that's a great point.
Absolutely. And then at Jeff account says, been in gold and silver over 50 years. And frankly, it gets really boring on a dip.
Yes, very good. Yeah, because you know the truth, and that's the difference, right? You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You get things in place, and then you let the markets do what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. That was great.
And then D James 6255 says, hi, Lynette. What if this whole process is just a slow bleed out and not a catastrophic event? I feel like a slow, controlled collapse will eventually force everyone to sell their metals just to survive.
Well, what if this time is different? And it certainly could be. That's beyond my control, certainly, but it is never different. It's funny, and I'm going to have Kelly set this up so that I can show you guys. But I have this, I came across years and years ago, this image from Currier and Ives. Some of you might recognize that name, but they would do all of these old prints, beautiful things. And they have one that says, and I've used it before, just not very well. That's why I want Kelly to make it good. But they have this piece from the 1800s that says the way to grow rich and the way to grow poor. And the way to grow rich is hard work and bringing value to the table. The way to grow poor is chasing bubbles. And funny enough, when you look at it from the 1800s, the deregulation, the inflation, the deflation, all of these things that we talk about today are exactly the same as they were hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. We've had a slow bleed. That's that 2% inflation that is the target of central banks. That's the slow bleed. And haven't they done that? Did exactly what you're talking about, right? With the slow bleed. Now we're talking about affordability. Well, on a gold standard and a silver standard, that was, there were poor people, there were wealthy people, there was everybody in between as well. But you were fairly paid for your labor no matter when you used that money. So you could, if you were fairly paid today, and if you used it in 50 years to the earlier point, okay, it still maintains your purchasing power. And that's really what silver does. right? Silver, for me, that's why silver is barterable, because it maintains your ability to purchase the same goods and services. Gold as the primary currency metal, it's what they do that reset against, right? But gold expands your ability to purchase the same goods and services. So we've been in a slow bleed. Now we're at the end, and look around. I mean, we've got all of the chaos that typically surrounds a transition into a new monetary system. And war is a big one. And the impact, if they stop it today, if everything stops today, the damage that's already been done, I think guarantees a catastrophic event. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm just a human being, and I didn't bring my crystal ball with me. Kenneth has it. And also the magic 8 ball.
Let me see if I can get a clearer picture than you did.
Okay.
No, yeah, you're pretty spot on. And actually, yeah, the best way that I've come across to describe silver's function versus gold's function is, we stack silver so that you can buy the bread, you get gold so you can buy the bakery. That's how you expand that ability for the goods and services. And yeah, I mean, as far as a slow bleed out, you're right. I mean, if we look at the Fred purchasing power chart, that's been a slow bleed out for over 100 years. And it comes to a point where no matter what they do, they can no longer mask the loss of that purchasing power. And that's all hyperinflation is. It's just that, like that reverse split that they do on a stock that's failing. They have to mask the failing of that stock price. So they have to chop some zeros off and make it look like it's a prettier than it is. Hyperinflation is just what's happening under the surface with that. You're losing the purchasing power. And you're right. It's happened every single time before this. So what if we're right? What if we're wrong? Well, if we're right, you've got a strategy in place that is designed for this exact situation. And what if we're wrong? You're holding a physical, tangible metal in your hand that are both in long-term positive upward trends.
Yeah, it's your protection. And if you execute the whole entire mantra, what difference does it make? I mean, people will say things to me about the bug out. And it's like, so if I never need to use it for the bug out, let me tell you, that is my happy place. I get to go up there and just breathe, and I go up there and I work, but it's a different energy. Booty hooty, Rudy Manooty. I'm good with it. So yeah, good point. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? Do something that it doesn't matter. Then you sleep.
Exactly. And then we have Ernest DeBella. He said, I heard maybe speculation, that some AG and AU leaving COMEX is going to exchange stabilization fund. If so, how would the U.S. government use the exchange stabilization fund when revaluing the dollar?
Well, I'm glad you brought them up, because I was there when they created it, being a new stockbroker in the 80s, right? And I was there on Black Monday in 87 when they created that right afterwards. So that means they have access to whatever it is inside of that fund. But these are contracts. Again, it's not the physical metal, it is the contracts, so they can manage and manipulate how you think. This is perception management. And I do have the documentation. I think I've shown it in the past, and we'll show it in the future. When they created the gold futures contract and then the silver futures contract, they actually stated that it was about managing expectations. It's just that nobody ever reads this stuff when they're creating this, so they don't know it. They're just seeing the lie. But okay, so if those contracts are going into the exchange stabilization fund, which would make a lot of sense because they're trying to manage your perception, and do they really want you to run to physical or gold and silver? No, They do not want you to go there, because as soon as you have it physical, guess what? You're out of the system.
Right.
You're decentralized. You're private. You actually are holding something that is the only financial asset that runs zero counterparty risk. So that's the way the government would use it. But in the revaluation, what they're going to do is they're going to take all of that fiat money that has no intrinsic value, and they're going to revalue it against gold that is all intrinsic value, because the dollar, the euro, the yen, whatever, take your pick, used in one place. Cryptocurrencies, one place. The financial system, gold and silver, physical contracts, one place. But the physical metal, 33 different places or more. That's just what I could count in gold, and 36 in silver. That's your bazooka. That's why governments can't inflate it away. That's why they hate it, because that demand overwhelms their ability to inflate it away and control it. Paper, yeah, that's a cakewalk. They can do that all day long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. If it's leaving the COMEX going into the ESF, it's just another paper contract doing perception management. So eventually the light comes through, and that revaluation, it has, like you say, it has to happen. It's happened every single time. No reason to think it wouldn't happen now.
Yeah, this is not different.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have maybe one or two more that we could do.
Okay.
Annette Davis from Facebook says, "Welcome to Australia, Lynette. Thanks for everything that you do. Still buying and have got my grandchildren stacking too."
Awesome. See, that's how you do it. You lead by example. Thank you so much for that. And I hope I see you later today at the event or tomorrow.
All right. Then we
And you can, and also I'll let you know this. Viewers can join the live stream and watch the Gold Coast Gold Conference. You're able to buy your ticket by clicking the link in the description below. So I hope you do join us, because I have to tell you that I'm super proud of the work that I did for this event. I really do think it's the best that I've ever done. Now, you might disagree, and we'll find, I'll get feedback here, because I've got people with me, and I've said that before. And then Jacqueline's like, no, you did do that. You did do that. But I think it is. So we'll see what you think.
No, Jacqueline would never.
No. And also, I just have to say this, and she's sitting right here anyway. Whenever we talk about toilet paper, I am telling you the real story. Just say.
Everyone's watching. They're taking notes. They are taking notes.
So I can give my side.
Do you want to come over? Come on. You want to give your side?
She will do. All right. I think the last one here could be from Edwin Cordero, 2534. Lynette, how can we place gold and silver in a Roth IRA?
Oh, well, that we can do that. That's easy. If you want a Roth IRA, which could make some level of sense if you're trying to avoid, a taxable event, then yeah, we can set that up for you. That's a better question for you.
Well,
right? You know how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think my question would be, what is the thing that led you to wanting to place your metals in a Roth IRA? Yeah, that's really the question.
So call us, but I mean, you can do whatever you are comfortable with, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of what I say, Kenneth, or anybody.
Right.
The bottom line is the individual who is ever making the choices is the one that's going to reap the rewards or suffer the consequences of any choice that they make. So you have to be comfortable with it. We try and help you make educated choices that puts your best interest first, right? And that's not my opinion of what your best interest is. It's your opinion about what your best interest is.
yeah, as strategists, we all just want to put every possibility out there on the table and say it is up to you to make the right decision because you're the only one who can make the right decision for you.
That's it. But we do like to make sure that what we're showing you supports your goals. That's what it has to be first. That's what needs to lead whatever it is that you do. And however we can be of service, I mean, you can see the rest of the talent. You've met others online. You've met, Emerald and Sari and Jennifer and Riley have all come on, and others probably will at some point. Everybody needs to do what they're comfortable with, but we had a pretty bright crew, and we've got a very, very, very caring crew. That's one thing. Jacqueline does the hiring. She does a phenomenal job with it. And one of the prerequisites is they have to actually want to make a positive difference in this world.
Very true.
So thank you guys so much. I know we've had a little different time change. Next week will probably be kind of wonky because it's going to be me without Jacqueline and Emerald for this technical support. So we'll see how good that goes. But this has worked pretty well, right? I think this was better than when we tried it the last time.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I appreciate everything that you're doing out there in Australia. And like I said, it's I'm making sure I hold down the desk. This is
Thank you.
It's big shoes to fill, but I'm here. We're gonna help out everywhere we can.
This has been great, Kenneth. Thank you so much for doing this. He doesn't have to do it, but he's doing it because we all will step up to the plate. It's very important. Yeah. And thank you guys so much for coming in. I'm telling you, I know 100%, 100 bazillion% that together we can actually get sound money back in the global monetary system again and make a positive difference for everyone's children. And until next we meet, please, wherever you are in the world, be safe out there. Bye-bye.